Hi everyone, so we're going to do an ink demo. I'm just going to show you a drawing and kind of take you through a couple of things as I paint, and then you will work on your own ink portrait. So I'm going to just walk you through. The details of this workshop assignment are already in Canvas, so you can go through and look at what you need. It doesn't need to be an extravagant piece. Actually, the piece that I've done is larger than what you need to do. If you like working larger, like I do, then you're welcome to. But you really only need to do like a 3-inch or 5-inch little drawing. Just trying out different techniques. Really, the workshop is just about trying it and doing a little bit of exploring. So this is a no pressure assignment. It's only 2 points, but just have fun. So as far as materials go, you're going to want a glass of water and a paper towel. You'll want a sort of palette or a plastic surface to put the ink on. You'll want some brushes. I've chosen some small detailing brushes and 2 round brushes that are about medium size. I've chosen some mixed media paper. This is Sophomore. This is, it's just a nice paper to use for working with different mediums, including wet mediums. And then of course, you want your ink. So today we have 2 different kinds. I've worked a lot with this, which I know is Yuko Shimitsu's recommendation, is Dr. Martin's Black Star India ink. This is a Bombay Black India ink, but really just any India ink should be fine. Okay, so I'm just going to start by taking this kind of beaker, I guess. I can't remember what this is called. And shooting it out. I like to do that just because it makes it easier. Sorry, this kind of shakes sometimes. Hopefully it's not too annoying. But I really like to dilute my ink. And it helps to give it some variation in value. So I've done a sketch here. I really like this scene from Funny Girl with Barbara Streisand, and she goes to the mirror and she looks into it and she says, "Hello, gorgeous." So I've done a little bit of a stylized drawing and then incorporated some hand lettering because I like to do that. And I'm just gonna go in and start making some marks. So I probably did more preparation for this than is necessary for you to do. I know that I want her collar to be pretty dark, so I might start there. Might put like a tiny bit of water just to get like a little bit more texture, but if it doesn't come through, I'm okay with that. But it can be nice to get some interesting textures in there, and you can do that as you water it down a little bit. So I just put some water in, and it's still, you can see it's really still quite black. Getting a little bit of texture. You might not be able to see it from there, but you'll see it when I scan it in. So I'm thinking about value, and I know I want this to be the darkest part and I want her face to be the lightest part, because when you the part with the most contrast is usually where your eye likes to go first, and the most important part of this drawing is her face. And usually one of the important parts of your illustration will probably be the face of the character that you're drawing. Okay, now I'm not being too like particular about all of my lines. I put on some my classical playlist, so you might hear that in the background just a little bit. Okay, and if I want to, it's easy. So this will dry, and I can go back in. Similar, oh gosh, there's a fly in my basement, it's so annoying. I thought he had died. Okay, anyways, back to ink. So, okay, yeah, so it's something that you can rework a little bit. It's definitely not like oil, where you can, well, maybe oil's not the right comparison. It's not like watercolor as much where you can go in and reactivate it. You can a little bit. But usually I let the ink dry and then I go in and I do some more layers on top of it if I want to. Yeah, so actually this isn't drying as dark as it looks when it first goes on. So that's something to keep in mind, that there probably will be some texture, which I think is nice. It's part of, if you're just doing line work, you won't really see any texture. But if you're doing a large area like I am, then you probably will see some. All right. Actually, I think there comes a little bit down here. So we have her hand here. And like with gouache or watercolor, you know, the brush that you use will definitely affect the way that it lays down on the paper. So this is a round brush. If I wanted really tiny details, I might get out my little tiny detail brush, which I might in a minute with her face actually. All right, I think the place that I want the second darkest value is in the letters, and then the third darkest place will be her jacket. So I might water this down quite a bit. Let's see how dark we can get this, or how light. See, even that is a little too light for what I want, so I'm really gonna try and get as much out of my brush as possible. So this is now just like a pretty light gray. Hopefully, I think the ink, the darker ink has dried, so it won't bleed together. But you definitely want to be careful, like if you want to have a crisp line, then make sure that the ink you put down before is dry for sure. Okay. And then her hair, I think, is about the same value. Okay, even that's a little too dark. I'll water it down even more. So now I'm going to try to pull the color out that I already put down and just kind of spread that around. Okay, and I'll do the same over here. Just grabbed a tiny bit of color. Okay, I might go in and do some more details there later. Then I'm gonna do the rest of her jacket. think I'm done with that. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. So if you do a pencil drawing underneath your ink, you can wait for it to dry and go in and erase it afterwards. It might not, it depends. It depends on how dark you're working. I'm hoping that most of this will get covered up, but some of my line work here in the lettering is a little dark, so I'm just gonna lift it up a little bit. And then I'll go in and clean it up when I'm done inking. So I want my letters to be really clean and crisp. And the style that I'm incorporating is kind of referencing the movie poster. So that's something also to keep in mind with references, looking at, especially if you're looking at like a celebrity or a historical figure, looking at how they've been depicted before is something that you can tie in, or you can try to do something totally different. Usually doing things in your own style is recommended, depending on what you're doing, but it makes things more interesting when you just speak from your own perspective, because no one else has your perspective, right? Okay, I think I want something a little bit finer. I'm going to pull out a different brush. Okay, I think this is a good one. This one is not too tiny. It has a nice flat edge. This one will be good for my letters, I think. So we'll see. Yeah, that's needs a little bit more water. Okay, this one isn't holding the water as well as I want it to. Maybe it needs more. I want it to really, the water can help it to spread when you're covering a large area. Yep. Okay, this isn't as clean as I wanted it to be. I don't know if I need to switch to a smaller brush. Maybe. Maybe I will do the larger parts of the letter. I'm trying to get a nice balance between the lightest light and the darkest dark. I want this one to be in the middle. But maybe that has too much texture, so I don't know, maybe I'm gonna go back in and kind of fix this a little bit. So this part, I guess, got too much water in it, so when it dried, it was a little lighter than I wanted. My paper is bubbling up a little bit, but that's okay. So if you look in the presentation that I made, you'll see some artists who work with ink differently. Some of them use a lot of texture. And then some of them don't really use texture and they use ink more for line work. So you can decide how you want to approach this. If you want this piece to be something that's more about the line work and doesn't have as much value and gradation, or if it does, maybe you want to play with texture. All right. When things like that happen, I think I'm gonna Photoshop that later. Yeah, I think as much as I wish that this brush would be perfect, it's not being perfect, so I might have to switch to my smallest brush. Just my tried and true friend. He spreads it around a little bit. Yeah, this is better. I can have more control. Whoops. Let's see if we can even out. I accidentally put a really dark spot. But if I go in back with my water, should be able to lift it out a little bit and kind of spread it around, although some of it has already dried. I don't know, maybe I'll make these letters really dark and not dilute it at all. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. I'll figure that out. I'm going to switch over to her face and just do the tiny details. So I'm going to look at my reference. Get her facial features. I'm trying to do a really tiny spot. I get a little bit on my brush and then I blot it out. And even this brush is not as clean as I want it to be. Let's see, I think I have some new brushes. This one has a really thin point, so let's try that one. You know, having the right tools makes all the difference on how the ink is applied. There we go. This is a really thin line. All right, I think I'm going to switch over to drawing with a time lapse so it goes really quickly. I think at this point, if you feel like you're ready to just start playing around, you can do that. And then just make a fun little portrait.